Hey guys, this is Chantel, owner and operator of Auntie's Treats. Today I'm going to show you guys how to make macarons and share with you my base recipe that I use for so many of my popular flavors. I'm going to walk you through on my technique. Today we're going to be making birthday cake macarons, and I've got everything laid out that you'll need to get started. Let's get started. The most important tip that I will make when it comes to macarons, just because they're a very finicky product, you need to invest in a food scale. This is going to be the most important piece that you need to be able to piece that you'll need to create macarons. We weigh everything out in grams, or at least I do. A lot of the recipes that you'll see online weigh everything in grams as well. That includes your egg whites, your sugar, powdered sugar, almond flour. All of that is in grams. The only thing that will differ is going to be like if you use cream of tartar or egg whites in yours, and like any extracts if you use any, those are all going to be through a teaspoon. But again, the most important thing, food scale. This is my favorite thing. Had it forever. So usually what I like to do is I have just some Tupperware that I prefer to use most. I will use this for egg whites and my sugar. So what we're gonna do, I like to place it on here first. I'm gonna turn it on, zero it out, make sure that it's displaying grams. When I last used this, I was using it for pounds and ounces. So I'm gonna take a second here just to change my units. Okay, perfect, got it on grams. Like I said, one of the first things I like to do is my eggs. I've got some egg whites that I saved already, so we're gonna go ahead and put that in here and have that there. That's not gonna be enough at all. This is about 9 grams. Typically from one large egg, you should be able to get 24 to 25 grams. Or to utilize warm eggs, this makes it a little bit easier. I feel like a warm product, I know it's such a heavy debate right now, but I feel like room temp products are a little bit better to use, and I feel like I get a better product out of that. Also, macarons do not need egg yolks. I happen to save all my egg yolks because I do tend to utilize those for curds or chocolate chip cookies. Actually, I've got a great chocolate chip recipe that I'll have to share with you guys. So I do like to reserve the egg yolks. We're not going to toss those. But depending on like what flavors you're making, again, like I said, if you're doing like a lemon and you want a lemon curd, definitely save these. Most lemon curd recipes require 3 egg yolks. Just with those 2 eggs and that little bit I had there, I'm already up to about 59 grams. Nothing floating, no extra stuff. So exactly like what we want. Perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and wipe that off if anything got on there. Put on my next bowl. Of course, again, you're gonna have to zero out when you change out your bowl, so do that real quick. Zero that out. This bowl is going to hold our regular sugar. Again, we use 100 egg whites. I happen to match the amount of sugar and egg whites I utilize. So we're also going to need 100 grams of regular sugar. So I'm going to go ahead and weigh that out. So far, about 89. Those BPs. Don't be wanting chunks. But 100 grams is almost just about, this is a 1 cup measuring cup. So that's basically about what that is. If you ever get a little too much in there, I just kind of scoop it right back out. Try to level that right back. Perfect. That's 100 grams. I'm going to have to break up. There are some clumps in here, so I'll have to break those up, but I'll support to get those out. A minute here. The next thing, now those are our 2 main things. Now, what I like to do, and some people do or don't, I do typically like to add my food coloring in with my egg whites to sit just a little bit so I get ready to mix them. The best thing to use is gel food coloring. So Chef Master has a gel, Americolor has a gel. There's also Decopad. Typically my go-to is Americolor, depending on the shade, but I do love Chef Master, and Americolor I feel like has a really great variety to get all types of colors. Today I'm just making like a pink one, like a light pink one, but either of those would work. Just make sure it's a gel. If it's not a gel, you're gonna mess them up. Okay, so that's really important. I'm not gonna add my food coloring today to that, only because I'm trying to get a very specific shade of pink. I don't want to accidentally put too much or too little in and then have to tweak it. Next thing we're gonna need, regular bowl. I like to, while I will be mixing like my egg whites and sugar in my mixer, I do like to create a separate bowl that has my almond flour and my powdered sugar mixed together. Also, if I were making any specialty flavors like cookies and cream or whatever, I would also sift in some of those add-ins here in this dried mixture. So we're gonna do that. So I'm going to clear this out once again. We're still working in grams. So right now where we're at, you should have 100 grams of egg whites, 100 grams of regular sugar. Now with almond flour, we're going to do 105. I've recently changed over to the Kirkland brand. I was having a lot of issues with Blue Diamond. Typically, I really love Blue Diamond. That's my go-to for years. But I've been getting a lot of oily batches. Kirkland is hitting. I haven't had any issues, and honestly, I've also played around to see you don't need to sift this as much. I feel like I can get away with that sometimes. Not trying to get away with it every time, but you can. And then powdered sugar. Definitely a big bag of that goes through pretty quickly. But again, where we're at, 100 grams of egg whites, 100 grams of caster sugar, and then I'm going to go and do 105 grams of almond flour and 105 grams of powdered sugar. What you're going to also see me use is a sifter. This one is a handheld one. Obviously, they all come in different sizes and shapes. I also have one that fits in my KitchenAid so that I can just pour it in there and sift. But today I'm going to do this by hand for you guys. So before you start doing this, make sure that your bowl is still zeroed out. You want to make sure we are keeping our measurements exact as needed. So again, like I said, I'm going to sit here And sift, you need about 105 grams of almond flour. My mixer attachment, but not everybody has a mixer. I keep that in mind. I would definitely recommend maybe on a mixer, a handheld one, because sometimes with the AOS can take a little bit of time. You probably 15 minutes or so, maybe a little longer, just depends. And I think with a handheld one, you're trying to do it by hand, the process. So the mixer that I use, this is going to try to get me a really fine grade of flour. So you're going to see like thicker pieces kind of be like left out or whatever. I usually just dump those to the side here, and then, you know, I can always end up putting those back in the bag. Now, again, as I mentioned, you could do this where you just go ahead and put everything in here and then just sift it when you're adding it to the meringue. I think for the powdered sugar, just because powdered sugar can be a little bit light and a little bit off from time to time, I am going to clear out this again and just go ahead and add in my powdered sugar, and then we'll do that sifting again afterwards. Also, you see me do that just because I'm like, I don't know what it is about powdered sugar. I feel like it throws off from time to time. So I'm doing that to make it recalculate itself and make sure I got that on the right boat. Took too much out. Okay, all done there. So we got 105 grams of almond flour, 105 grams of powdered sugar, 100 grams of egg whites, and 100 grams of regular sugar, right? And remember those egg yolks that we cracked earlier. I've got mine sitting here, and I'm going to put a top on it, and I'm going to put those in the fridge. But we can pull this off, and for now we're done with our food scale. So take a minute, wipe all that off. Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier, this is our next step, teaspoon. I like to use a quarter teaspoon. I use a quarter teaspoon for cream of tartar. I like to add this into my egg whites right when I'm getting ready to mix them. This kind of helps it be a little bit more sturdy, a little bit more stiffer. So I like to add that then. And as I mentioned, I'm making birthday cake. Of course, you can buy this extract from anywhere, different brands, Walmart's got it, Amazon, any of that. I prefer to use Lorraine's. I do feel like her flavors are really there, really potent. A little bit goes a long way. So this is her cake batter flavor, and again, I use that for my birthday cake. So look, this is going to be added in the mixing process with this. So let's go ahead and move on to that.
Alright, for this step, first thing we're going to do is go ahead and get our egg whites added in, and make sure your bowl is clean. I know some people will wipe their bowl down first with like vinegar and let it dry. You could do that. I make sure my stuff's clean. I do wipe it out beforehand. So egg whites are in. Next thing I'm going to do is our cream of tartar we were talking about. I'm going to use a quarter teaspoon of that and add that in here. Go ahead, drop that. I like to start pounding it before. Add a portion of that sugar. I like to try to do that in 3 parts. It's about 20 seconds. Add it.
So you can see that it's starting to thicken up. But it's not ready yet. We want these peaks to be standing straight by themselves. They still got some curve in it, so not done. So you can see we got some stiff peak. You should be able to swirl this in. That's what we got. So peaks are stiff. Stiff, good. Also another test, if your meringue doesn't fall out, doesn't slide, you're set. Alright. Next thing, let's go make some macarons. Alright, next up we got our meringue. And then we got that bowl we made earlier. It's got our powdered sugar and our almond flour mixed together. Now what I'm going to do, because you guys didn't see me sift the sugar in, I'm going to sift it over here into my meringue. Again, hand sifter or fancy, and you got the KitchenAid attachment. Attach that thing, sifted it. I'm going to use my spatula just to mix this a little bit. You can also, what I'm going to end up doing is called macaronaging. That's how the next step I'm going to do is called macaronaging. That's basically how we're going to get our mixture to the consistency that we want to be able to pipe our macarons. You can macaronage in your mixer. I have not tried that. I'm okay doing it by hand. I do enjoy that. But right now I'm going to sift these all in slowly. I try to sift it into 3 parts. You want to slowly incorporate. I like to slowly incorporate at least my mixture into my meringue. So we've incorporated about 1/3 of that batter in right now, so I'm gonna mix it. I like to go into like a C and a J type of mixture. Just helps me more evenly fold everything in. Okay, got that first part folded in. I'm gonna go ahead and keep sifting here. Again, we're working on that macaronage. You can see a lot of flour and meringue in here. So we're going to run that like a C pattern. You get in the middle, you can make a J. If you're starting out in your early days of making macarons, a lot of the tips when you first started were like count to 84. That's how long it takes. Like, you know, you have to do like 84 of these C's and J's to basically get your batter to the right consistency. Essentially, we want it to flow like lava. I'm not quite there yet, but it is just about there. So when they say you want to have a lava-like consistency, it should flow and not break off, so I'm not there yet. Here we are. Now what we can do is make it easy. You can grab a cup so that you can put your piping bag and your tip in. I'm going to grab that now and show you guys. Regular cup will do just fine. There's a couple different ways. You can get a large round tip if you want, you know, larger, bigger macarons. I like to use a small one. These actually don't have a number, excuse me, sorry. So we'll number 12. I like to use a small round one because it gives me more control when I'm piping these out. Use whatever piping bag you like. Typically I like to use my Atco piping bag, so out of those. So these are another one. These are actually super great. They're tipless bags. They're actually really great when it comes to like my chocolate piping and stuff like that. So we cut a small hole. See that? I usually like to twist this a little bit and push it up so that I don't have to worry about any batter flowing out when I pull the bag out of here. So see, put the bag tucked in. I'm going to take that same batter that we've got ready and go ahead and put some in there for you. Got that flowed in. I would say I use about half, maybe like 2/3 to kind of fill this way. Whatever. Okay. Alright, so we've got our macaron batter here on our piping tips. I've untwisted it a little bit, and then what I've got is a cookie sheet, and I've also got a silicone baking mat. This is specifically a macaron mat, so you can do your shapes and sizes. Typically for me, when I'm looking at this, I'm going to make my shape a little bit bigger than this inner circle. I usually like once, you know, if you're going to spread a little bit, I want it to fill up this whole circle, and that's good enough. Typically from this batter, I can get anywhere from 24 to 36, just depending on the size that I'm making. I've even been able to get 4 dozen if I'm going on a smaller. So what I'm going to do is hold myself perpendicular to this. Typically you can count to about 5 seconds. So what I do, I'm going to hold this perpendicular to the mat, and you can count. I count to about 5 to get to the shape that I want. So here, I'm going to hold it up like this, squeeze evenly, pressure, and then when I'm just about done, I just go and cleanly pull it out. You see me rounding that circle. Now that I'm counting this, I do a little bit more than 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, circle off. Pretty much like good in circles actually. Finish that out, and then I'm gonna get an air bubble. Now, if you were doing this and you notice like your batter after you bite through is like spreading quickly and goes over the circle, you can still bake them. Well, you know they're gonna be macarons. That's how that works. So, Lisa and Pratt and Family Hates. We're gonna have to tap out the bubbles now. It's nice and even. A couple tabs. Usually for me, I'm right about done. I just do a few of these, and I'm good to go. The next thing that I like to do with my cake batter macarons, typically I do a rainbow macaron on top of these. Macarons, I actually really like these. They bake just fine in the oven, guys. So things you really don't want to add would be that, might throw some of your stuff, might be like sugar, whatever. I don't typically add those. But we're just going to add a few of these, not too many. I'm not really going to put them on all of them because I like to have some different looks just a little bit for these particular ones. Okay, got those all set. My macarons all over them. I'm actually going to set them aside. I like to put them on top of the stove, turn like the little fan on that's on the microwave on, and let them sit for up to an hour to get dry. Essentially, you want your macarons to make a skin. That's where, after like an hour, 45 to an hour, I can touch the top of these and no batter comes back off on my fingers. It's like a film almost type of way on top of them. So we want to let them get that way. So I'm going to put those there now. And then when you get comfortable with macarons, you can start making like shapes and stuff. Most shapes that I can do, flowers are pretty easy. Pooh Bear, Mickey Mouse, pretty easy shapes. Obviously, you can get more elaborate with the type of florals. You can do characters. Have I gotten there yet? No. But it's never too late, so I'll get there at some point. That one's a little one. Oh, out of batter. I probably will end up having an uneven one. That's okay. That's going to make our tester then. Always want to see your batch. Make sure it came out good. Make sure it's full. Tap these out a little bit. Get all the air bubbles you see in your eyes in. And then you can kind of see like right here. We've got some bubbles that already popped out. Those are your air bubbles. You want to tap the tray. Make sure you get those out. If I've got a good tray, I typically don't see a lot of air bubbles. So I love it. That's great. These ones I'm not going to put any pearls on. I'm going to leave these ones on. So I've got the fan on. Both those trays are going to rest now. It's 9:45. I will come back, check these about 10:30, 10:45. They'll be ready. They should be about ready or should be all the way ready to go in the oven. In the meantime, gonna take a minute, clean up, clean myself up, do the worst part of baking, cleaning dishes.
Okay, we're all done. They've actually rested for an hour. It's 10:47. They have that perfect skin. I can touch them and there's nothing coming back. So now we can bake them. We're gonna actually end up preheating our oven to 300. I prefer to bake mine at this temperature for about 14-15 minutes. Typically that extra minute might just be if they're a little bit bigger and they're not done, but 300 degrees, 14-15 minutes, and they rise perfectly. All right, our macarons are all done. I actually ended up leaving in these for about 15 minutes. I just need an extra minute, but there those are. Nice and big. And then the other one will go in there for another 15 minutes. Those are out. Just let them set, let them cool, and then we'll be able to shake these off.
All right, we made a macaron. So after we sat, took these out the oven, let them cool down just a minute. Now you should be able to pull these off with no issue off your mat. They come right up. If they come right up, we did great. And you see how that's nice and flat. We've got our feet. It's smooth, glossy. That is what we want. You have made a birthday cake macaron. And if you'd like, you can play with this recipe. I'm gonna put the base recipe down. You change the flavor. You make your own. Customize it to how you like. Tag me in your video. Tag me in your photo. I would love to see what you create next. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for stopping by and hanging out with me in my kitchen.